With this cell that is moving through Bowling Green, we are looking at having about 40-mile-per-hour winds. Could also possibly be seeing some pea-size hail, although I'm not really seeing any hail signatures. We can zoom in a little bit more. It looks like Russellville Road, that's where we are seeing some heavy downpours. Cave Mill Road, where we see those purples, that's the torrential rain. So just be mindful as you are traveling, especially around Bowling Green, that we are having those heavier downpours for this lunch hour. For Glasgow, some of those purples that's popping up, and that's where we're seeing those torrential downpours. So that's really the concern with this line that is continuing to move through south central Kentucky. We are concerned with those torrential downpours leading to some flooding. We do have an aerial flood advisory that is in effect for right now, so just be mindful that you are going to be, if you're headed out there earlier this morning, coming across some of those heavier downpours, as we do have this line that is going to be continuing to move through. If we do have any other severe thunderstorm warnings that pop up, of course I will be keeping you updated on that, but it looks like right now the main threat is going to be the rain, the wind, as well as possibly seeing some hail. If we zoom out just a little bit off to our west, that is what we are concerned with. So these scattered severe thunderstorms, that's what's approaching south central Kentucky, and that looks like it's going to be reaching into south central Kentucky within the next hour or two. So we are concerned with, again, possibly having a few tornadoes spinning up. We also had a confirmed one for Alvelton. It's now rated as an EF2 tornado with 115-mile-per-hour winds, but it was very quick. It was one of those quick spin-up tornadoes that we mentioned can happen in severe weather, and it was only on the ground for 4 minutes, a 2.2-mile path. And we've had a lot of questions as to why wasn't it tornado warned, and that's largely because of how quick it was. So we went back and pulled up the velocity. So this is the wind map basically on our radar. The greens and the reds, when they intertwine like this, that's a likely signature of having a brief spin up tornado. So we did have that occurred about 12:14 a.m. By 12:16 a.m. that signature is already starting to dissipate for us, and it's completely out of here by 12:20 a.m. Some other storm reports that we did see yesterday, we had those very strong winds. So we did see those winds that were about 60 to 65 miles per hour. There were a number of trees that were down, especially in Monroe. As far as hail is concerned, we did see a lot of hail. We saw some golf ball size hail in Morgantown as well as Hadley. We also saw most of these storms produced about quarter size to golf ball size hail across the entire region. A broader view of these cells, we are really seeing them bubbling up, and it looks like they're not moving that fast, and they're actually tracking to the northeast at about 5 miles per hour. That is why we are concerned with seeing some flooding. Some of these heavy downpours through the weekend can dump about 2 to 4 inches of rain, so we do need to be careful of flash flooding on roadways. It only takes about 6 inches of water to move your car off the road, so that's why we do say if you come across a flooded roadway, make sure that you turn around and don't drown. Now, as that warm front moves over us, that's what's going to be starting to fire up some of these showers and thunderstorms, and we do have the potential to have a few severe thunderstorms, but we also have some limiting factors. We're going to be cloudy all day today, and depending on how quickly we see that rain, if we see a little bit more rain throughout this morning, then that's going to be limiting that severe weather threat. But if we stay a little bit drier for this morning, and if we possibly see a couple of peaks of sunshine, then we are going to be seeing more instability in the atmosphere, and that will be increasing our potential to see some severe thunderstorms popping up later this afternoon and into this evening. Now, we're seeing such dense patchy fog forming throughout this morning because we did have some areas that saw heavy rainfall yesterday. So where we did see that and those areas didn't completely dry out, that is where we are seeing those denser patches of fog forming. Now, something that we can look forward to later on this week, we do have Saharan dust that is kicking up. Right now, it's sitting over the top of the Caribbean and the Atlantic. That's helping to suppress that Atlantic activity. So we're not seeing any tropical storms developing right now, but that dust is going to be headed our way towards the southeastern United States. And what that means for us locally is that we're going to be seeing some more vibrant sunrises and sunsets as we head into the later parts of this week. So it's going to be starting to make its way, the dust, into Tennessee as we get into Thursday. So that could be close enough that we could start to see some impacts of that. But this dust is really going to be moving over the top of south central Kentucky as we head throughout this weekend. So your Saturday and Sunday into the start of next week. So if you do have any asthma or any other respiratory issues, you might want to be taking more precautions as that dust moves over us. We can distinctly tell the two tails off of Comet Neowise. So right here, this bluish one, that is the ion tail, and then the gray and white colored tail, that is the dust tail. So comets do typically have these two different tails, and the cool thing about the ion tail is that it always points directly away from the sun. Zooming out a little bit, we can see that cold front is currently sitting right along the Kentucky border. That's going to be continuing to make its way closer to us, and also notice that those winds are still very strong following that cold front passage, so we are going to be staying windy as we head throughout the rest of the day today, and that is going to be allowing allowing that colder air to move in much faster. Our temperatures dropping as we head throughout this evening. For the night tonight, we are going to be seeing those temperatures dropping down to about 34 degrees. So it is going to be getting quite cold outside, but we are going to be staying breezy. So because we are going to be having those northwest winds of 10 to 20 miles per hour, I don't think that we're going to be seeing any frost forming. But if you don't see that wind, then there is a potential to have a little bit of patchy frost. Our better chance to see some frost outside is going to be tomorrow night when we have those temperatures in the mid-30s and we don't have those winds to shield us from that frost forming. As we are expecting a widespread frost and freeze, make sure that you are protecting any sensitive vegetation outside and any outdoor pipelines. And also, please bring your pets indoors for the night tonight. Now, this is very unusual for us. We have our average last freeze April 9th. That was an entire month ago. And now we are at that threshold where there's only a 10% chance that we would see freezing or frost conditions. And here we are seeing that freeze in the overnight hours. So just make sure that you are prepared for the night tonight. Now, the thing about the heat index, that's what it feels like in the shade. So in the sun, it feels much hotter than that. We are going to be seeing these temperatures and heat indices continuing to climb as we head throughout the rest of this afternoon. I am expecting the heat indices to climb into the low 100s. So it's very important to keep these heat safety tips in mind today. And really, as we continue to head throughout the next couple of weeks, we need to stay hydrated, keep your pets indoors, take frequent breaks in the nice cool AC if you have to be working outdoors. Make sure that you are wearing loose, light-fitted clothing and looking before you lock so we don't leave any children or pets in those very hot cars. It's also a good idea to know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. So heat exhaustion is when you do feel faint and dizzy, there's excess sweat, cool pale skin, nausea and vomiting, a rapid weak pulse, as well as muscle cramps. That's when we need to get cooled down in the shade, have ice packs around you. A heat stroke, that's when we call 911. So that's when we have confusion, there's no sweat, you have red hot dry skin, nausea and vomiting, rapid strong pulse, and loss of consciousness is possible as well. Yesterday we were seeing those remnants from Cristobal, and that kept us very warm with that tropical air mass throughout the day yesterday as well as into the overnight hours. And we actually set a new record warm low yesterday. So we had that record low of 77 degrees. That beat out the previous record warm low of 75 degrees that was set back in 1981. Now, a fun fact about this is that it was actually set at 12:33 p.m. yesterday when we were having some of those rain showers. So it was a low that was set in the middle of the day instead of in the overnight hours. Our dog walker's forecast dog of the day is Deja, and she says that it's chilly, and she's also wearing her mask and wearing it properly, covering her nose and mouth. She says make sure that you don't forget to wear your mask today as phase 1 does begin for Kentucky throughout the day today. It is a special animal because I did say if anybody sent me photos with a different animal on a leash, I would use it. And sure enough, we do have a cute little calf that is our dog walker's forecast dog, or cow of the day, I guess we should say.